What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see, when the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
Daddy! Settle down, man.
Dear Georgia Legislature, no guards or bologna sandwiches were harmed in the making of this video of the Frosty Shit Show saga. Love, Georgia citizens.
Hello, folks. How are you today? I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com, voiceofruralamerica.com, and let's start right here. Kristi Noem is out. Yes. We are on Substack. Follow us on Substack, Vora, V-O-R-A, at BKP Politics, voiceofruralamerica.com, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X. Follow us there. But right out of the box today, where do I have it here? Here it is. Have it on the screen. Kristi Noem is out, and Corey Lewandowski. Trump fires Kristi Noem in first cabinet ouster after brutal Capitol Hill drubbing with lover. Corey Lewandowski with lover. Let's go ahead and get Pam Bondi this week. Let's go ahead. Let's get Pam Bondi out of there this week, all right? So, Kristi Noem is out. I am happy to report that. It's a great way to start today. Now, let me get something else up here. So I want to read a quote because I do think we have a problem in the midterm. So every day we have new viewers and we have new people joining our Substack and watching our videos and reading our articles and sending me messages. I appreciate all the messages I get. But I do think we have a problem in the midterms. And we're going to get started with that. Oh, first of all, can someone go and do a wellness check? And if you're not familiar with, I'll explain who these people are in just a moment. Could someone go do a wellness check on Alex Johnson and Nathaniel Darnell from the GRA and the National Federation of Republican Assembly? Brad Raffensperger, the current Secretary of State of Georgia, did qualify yesterday, and he will be on the Republican ballot for the Georgia primary for governor. Yes. So we'll discuss that a little later in the show. But I do think we have a problem in the midterm. And I'm going to tell you why. As I said, some people are new to the program. I'm a Republican, lifelong Republican. Let's get that right out there. Some people are tired of hearing it, and I would always prefer to put a Republican in office. But facts that we can't bury our head in the sand. We can't we're just going to look over here. The facts are that all of the elections that we've had since President Trump took office, they are favoring Democrats. Georgia lost 2 statewide races, one-off races, as chairman of the Republican Party, Josh McCoon, would call them. But we did lose. We had full control of the Public Service Commission in Georgia. We lost 2 statewide seats there to Democrats. We've had several jungle primary elections in Georgia that Democrats finished in the top 2, and then in the runoff came a little too close in some of these districts. Texas flipped the was it a state Senate seat that was a plus 17 for Trump? Went Democrat. And they measure. Now, whether you like it or not, they measure. We have new polling in Georgia today we're going to discuss. But they measure, okay, how many the Hispanic percentage of vote, where did it go? Where did the Asian vote go? Where did black vote? Where did the youth go? Where did women 18 to this age go? Where did young white males go? Now, there's several groups that put Trump over the top. But one of the largest groups that did come out very powerful for Republicans, Trump's not on the ballot. He's not on the ballot in 26 or 28. For those of you out there, white men, white young men. Trump did a great job on Joe Rogan. He did a great job going on Theo Vaughn, podcast. J.D. Vance did a very good job doing that. But all of that combined, Trump did very well and actually added young white males. Now, I want to be very clear. I do not get down the road of the talking heads, okay? I don't. In fact, not that, well, let me just say this. Some of the viewers out there, I get in trouble if I start going into foreign politics or foreign affairs and things like that. They say, stick to Georgia politics. Okay, all right, I'll do that. I don't get into the Megyn Kellys, the Tucker Carlson, the Candace Warrens, the one right after another. I don't. The Alex Jones. Now, I'm not saying I've never listened to the podcasts or I don't pick things out or keep up with. And I absolutely do not listen to anything Steve Bannon says, all right? But like the guy or not. So I want to be clear before we start and somebody breaks my audio down or clips it and puts it out there. I want to be very clear, this is not my quote. And two, I'm not saying this in support. So for those of you like or dislike Nick Fuentes, like or dislike, young white male, I have a friend that calls me and says, my son just sent me this. Young white male, Nick Fuentes. So I'm going to read this quote. And here's how it goes. You buried the Epstein files. There's no border wall. You did not deliver on mass deportations. You cut corporate tax rates for the rich by cutting Medicaid once again. No infrastructure bill, no middle class tax cuts. You have to refund the tariffs. And now we have, and now we are in a regime change war with Iran. That's the breaking point. I'm out. That's the breaking point. I'm out. I'm done. I am off the Trump train. I am not voting in 26. If Rubio or Vance are on the ticket in any form in 28, I'm voting Republican. Quote, unquote, Nick Fuentes. Now, some will not like that I just said that, but I study politics. I think we have a problem. I do think we have a problem going into the midterms. I get concerned when anyone says, hey, let's stay home. Let's stay home, because as the other day, we have been saying for God knows how long, vote red. Vote red. Up and down the ticket, vote red. Okay. And what I'm finding are a percentage of Republicans that are even now saying, why? Why? In Georgia, we have House Speaker John Burns, who just put up this horrific bill under the guise of eliminating homestead property tax by 2032. Now, we needed, let me show you something, we needed 21 Democrats. Now, keep in mind, as I just said, we needed 21 Democrats. We have new polling, Rick Jackson, Burt Jones. We have new polling. We have some surprises. Houston, we have a problem. We have some surprises in the Georgia 10th Congressional District. We'll get into that. But here you go on the screen. So John Burns, Georgia House Speaker, Republican, put this horrific bill on the floor, claiming he's going to, with other Republicans, completely eliminate homestead exemption tax, property tax by 2032. And then the bill's not going too deep. We did this yesterday. The bills add all kinds of new revenue streams for your counties, your cities, your Board of Education. They also offer in the bill these creative assessments on services. So, you know, as our good friends, the Native Americans, say about, you know, the time saving, because this week we spring ahead, Republicans put this bill up, and it's like they said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut 2 foot off the top of the blanket. We're going to sew it to the bottom of the blanket. The blanket will actually have the same size. Wait a minute. Now, they needed, there was a need for 21 Democrats to get on board. All right. Now, what you see on the screen is Republican control. Remember, in the state of Georgia, Republicans have had control of the governor's mansion and the Georgia State Senate and the Georgia State House completely since 2005. It takes 120 votes in Georgia, in the state house, to have supermajority veto override, where your governor is a little nervous that your governor has to work with you, because if the governor doesn't work with you, you can override a veto. There's power there. And you don't have to go ask Democrats and negotiate with Democrats to make deals. Now, what you're seeing on the screen is in 2014. In 2014, Republicans had 120 votes, state house members, Republicans, in 2014. The bill they tried to pass had 99 Republican votes. We have gone from 2014, 16, 18, 20, 22, and now 24. And the biggest hit we took, now relax here, there's a lot of moving parts here, was President Trump's first midterm, 2018, right? 2018, biggest hit we took. So that being said, right around 2018, going into 2020, a lot of moving parts, but we're down to 99. So I do think we have midterm problems. Now, President Trump, let's go to Texas for just a minute, all right? Let's go to Texas for just a minute. Yesterday, President Trump put this out on Truth Social that he will endorse a candidate in the primary but whoever he endorses, whomever it may be, he wants the other one out. That's John Cornyn, is 71 years old. He's been there, 22 years or something, right? And John Thune, the U.S. Senate Majority Leader, is really lobbying for Trump to back Cornyn and bring him back up there to the Senate. They say he stands the best chance of beating Tallarico. Now, James Tallarico, because I'm gonna show you something here that ties together. Then you have Ken Paxton. Now, Ken Paxton said yesterday he's the Attorney General of the state of Texas. He's got a little bit of baggage. Don't have time for that. A little bit of baggage. So Ken Paxton said no matter who Trump endorses, he's not getting out of the race. But President Trump said, when I endorse, get out. The other guy has to get out. That has actually infuriated a lot of people. Because the MAGA base that I'm reading in Texas, or the Make America Great Again base, or the Trump supporters, whatever you want to call it, they are supporting Ken Paxton. That's where he got his 41% to John Cornyn's 43 or something. But the base is saying in Texas, no. And they're not going to be happy if Trump gets involved and endorses Cornyn, 71 years old, 22 years, a real swamp, supposed to be draining it, and tells Paxton he has to get out. So, now, the Democrats have their set because the Republicans have a 2.5-month runoff between Paxton and Cornyn. James Tallarico, he won. This young man won. Now, if you go and listen to this young man, he is very much to the left. We'll call it that way. He's very much to the left. He's not a Republican. But Democrats are doing something here. Remember when Democrats were progressive? That was okay. And then they got coined, they were coined Socialist Democrats, right? Socialist Democrats. Bernie Sanders really brought that into play. AOC brought it into play. And that caused them problems. So Democrats have done some testing, and they've landed on affordability, obviously, but they landed on centrist. Yes. Centrist. This candidate is more of a centrist. Centrist is appealing. They're trying to move away from that socialist. They actually tried to tell you that Spamberger in Virginia was more of a centrist. So, Tallarico, and let me just say this, young guy. And Democrats, you're going to see throughout the country, every possible place they can, they're going to put youth up against age. Biden's age, right? Biden's age. Oh, by the way, the auto pen, the Department of Justice had to drop the auto pen case against Joe Biden. So, once again, we're not making any ground, like putting Anthony Fauci in prison. But Biden and now Trump. Trump is 80. Is he 81 now? I don't know. He's right there. Cornyn is 71. So you're going to watch Democrats put youth up everywhere they possibly can. Next generation. And they're going to go with centrists. Now, this Tallarico actually does scare. He can quote Bible. He sounds very polite, nice. He talks a lot about the corporate top that is against the working class. He has a pretty good message, but he is not centrist. He's to the left. He's very, very dangerous. But what do we have? Okay. Let me see what I got here. We have none other than John Cornyn. Now, Cornyn is still in the fight. Will Trump finally endorse him in Texas? I will tell you this, if 71-year-old, and no one is attacking age here, we do not age discriminate on this program, but you have Tucker Carlson and you have several others attacking Boomer Plus, blaming the state of the country on you and I. It's our fault. So John Cornyn, 71 years old, up against Tallarico, the youth. I think we have a problem in the midterm. Now, the other problem we have with the base is, we know that Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. Yes. So if he endorses John Cornyn, he's endorsed Lindsey Graham. A lot of concerns. I could tell you somebody in Georgia that's very nervous and is trying to stay away from a Trump endorsement right now. I'll bring that up on tomorrow's show. In fact, this individual in Georgia that's running for office is watching March 10th. That's when the 14th district, the Clay Fuller endorsement to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene by Donald Trump did not land. And there will be an all-out effort, there is right now in that district, to get that vote out. Even Kelly Loeffler is Greater Georgia or whatever her operation is. Kelly Loeffler, Greater Georgia, is running put a lot of money into that district trying to just get the Republican vote out. Because if, and I've not looked at Kentucky to see how Thomas Massey is doing in his primary, but I will say this, in the 14th district of Georgia, March 10th, next Tuesday, if Colton Moore wins, or if he is the front runner to go up against the Democrat Sean Harris, then not only does Colton Moore defeat, right? Is it Fuller? Is that his name? He will defeat Donald Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene gets the win, and so does Thomas Massey. So I know a candidate right now in Georgia that is laying low, sitting back, thinking, maybe I don't want the Trump endorsement. Seriously. So now, as you know, President Trump has put out on Truth Social, America's elections are rigged, stolen, and laughingstock all over the world. We're either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. I am asking all Republicans to fight for the following: Save America Act, all voters must show ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballots. So, 2026, a pivotal year. What will Trump do? So let's get into what I call Houston, we have a problem in Georgia. All right, we'll start there because we are going to get into qualifying. Tomorrow at noon is the last day for qualifying in Georgia. If you want to run for an office, you go to your county courthouse for your local county, Board of Education, those offices, the state of Georgia down at the Capitol, Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other, to qualify to be on the ballot. And not for sure about nonpartisan offices, if that's at the Secretary of State's office. I'm not for sure on those. But tomorrow at noon, the ballot for every race in Georgia will be set for the May primary. So this is what I call Houston, we got a problem, the 10th district. Now, on this program, if you're new, Governor Kemp, and I feel I might have something to do with this. I really do, because I think I was the only one in the wilderness. I didn't hear it anywhere else. When Mike Collins come out, and this guy here, this is Ryan Millsap, right? And when Mike Collins came out of the 10th district and launched his bid to run for U.S. Senate, I started looking for who all would run. And Dr. Paul Brown, this is way back when the district was different. Dr. Paul Brown, he represented the 10th district. He's tried to run there a couple other times. He ran against Mike Collins the last time. But when the seat was open and Mike Collins ran for it, because Jody Heiss ran for Secretary of State over there in the 10th, and it opened it up, there was 9 or 10 candidates that put their hat in the ring. But interestingly, because Athens is Brian Kemp and Marty Kemp's backyard, and I've said on this program multiple times that Brian Kemp wanted his own personal representative in D.C., and that would be Houston Gaines from Athens. So no one stepped up. There was nothing happening. And I was on here every day saying, why is this guy, right? Why is this guy getting, right here, a free ride? The 1st district has 6 or 7 Republicans. 14th district has 10 Republicans, right? Why is this guy, the 9th district, Andrew Clyde, Congressman Andrew Clyde, Trump supported, he has 2 opponents. There's 3. He's an incumbent. Why is this guy getting the green light, and why is he going to be the chosen one with like $1.3 million in the bank and no one run against him? But guess what? Houston Gaines, state representative, they're a little nervous today. They have a problem. And that would be, he has right here, this guy's name is Ryan Millsap, okay? And Ryan Millsap is running against Houston, and Houston's already come out with a statement. They're very nervous over there. We're going to play you Mr. Millsap's intro, so hang tight right here. We're going to play the intro for Mr. Millsap. Let me make sure I got everything down that I don't want up there. Sorry about that, folks. Trying to get the video. I had it up there earlier today. So I had it playing earlier. Let me see if I can get it reloaded here. I had it earlier, and I'm not for sure why it's not playing for me now. So I want to get the video up of Mr. Millsap here running for office. And like I said, I had it moments ago, and now where's it at? Okay, so this guy's running for office. Ryan Millsap. I will get that video in just a moment. I know I have it here. Well, darn it. I could have sworn I had the video. All right, so I had the intro video for him, and it doesn't seem to be playing. Well, anyhow, all right. So he is running for office. I'm going to get that intro video and try to get it to play here. Come on, darn it. All right, that being said. So Houston Gaines, I can't get the video to play. So we'll just we'll back away from that one for now. And maybe we can get it to play a little later. But Houston Gaines is running in the 10th district, and he is very upset. Our district is not for sale to a California film executive. We've had enough of Hollywood in Georgia. I look forward to winning this primary and keeping the seat red in November. All right. So Houston Gaines welcomes California film executive to the primary. Now, all of a sudden, the California film executive is not welcome. But when Houston Gaines was continuing to vote for those tax breaks for the film industry, well, that was okay, right? That was okay. Then we have this guy here is running, and I just want to put this up. Jeff Baker, 2026. Now, interesting story. Don't know him. He listed his name running against Houston Gaines as a plumber, his occupation as a plumber. Everybody needs to know a plumber. A leader that puts America first, Jeff Baker grew up in government housing while he relied on a free lunch at school until he could pay for his own meals after starting to work at Domino's Pizza at 14. Before that, he was already working mowing neighborhood lawns at 12 and selling newspapers for the AJC at 13. Raised by an abusive, alcoholic stepfather with an absent biological father, Jeff's early life was marked with struggle as he faced his own battles with alcohol and led to mild alcoholism, cirrhosis, but through determination and life changes, he made it manageable despite legal troubles at 19, for which he received a pardon in 2015. Jeff never gave up on himself. So, Jeff, the plumber, the entrepreneur, as Ryan Millsap identifies himself, the entrepreneur, is in the race against Houston Gaines. And it's, like I said, Houston, we have a problem. I'm still working to try to see if I can get No, it's not giving me the video right now. Well, I'll be daggone. All right, so the 10th District, Brian Kemp does not have a free ride. He does not have a free ride as far as his own state representative, Houston Gaines. Now, let me just say this. If you're out there today and you're receiving the Alex Johnson emails, right, that is absolutely in tears that Brad Raffensperger has qualified for governor of Georgia because you say, Alex Johnson, from the NFRA, that the GRA has a resolution that was passed at the Georgia State Convention. There's Josh McCoon, the chairman, that prohibits him from being on the ballot. Just call Bert. I mean, ask Bert Jones and his friend Josh. Call Bert and say, hey, how come you allowed, right, Brad Raffensperger to qualify to run for governor on the Republican ticket? Hey, Alex, Nathaniel, all of you out there, call Bert and ask why. So let me just say this. Right now, the Georgia Republican Party is in the tank. It's in the tank. We'll use nice words. And the Georgia Republican Party is one flush away from being gone. That's not a joke. Now, we can get into this in much more depth. I think when you qualify candidates and you put them on your ballot, you are telling the voters out there, this is a Republican. But the GRA came out with this accountability rule, right? And a lot has happened concerning that. The litmus test to get on the ballot. And there is something to be said that not quite a purity test, but that when voters go and they see a Democrat and a Republican, that they should be able to trust that the party that put this nominee up that's a Republican is just that. So I think there's room for something like that to take place. And I don't want to go down that road too deep because I don't want to get convoluted and people start getting into an argument about it. But here's the reality right now is parties get qualifying fees. And they're substantial. So much of the fee goes to the county, so much of the fee goes to the state, so much of the fee goes to federal. It's split up in all the different races, but your county party and your state party needs the qualifying money. They need it. I mean, when you say you want to get Republicans to vote, when your county takes the qualifying money that comes in, helps them buy one or two radio ads, put up one or two billboards, send out a mailer themselves, put up signs, vote Republican, host forums, whatever. But the counties really need that money to operate, qualifying fees. Same with the state. The state gets a really big bump in the arm, your state party, your Republican and Democrat. They get a major financial bump right in the arm when it comes to qualifying. If you see those lines down at the Capitol, every state house seat every 2 years, they have to requalify. Every state Senate seat, they have to requalify. And they keep writing them checks, $400, $500, $5,000. They keep writing those checks all day long. And that is a big deposit that the state party, Democrat and Republican, and local party, they need for operations. Now, I know this to be true. The Georgia State Legislature, they are waiting for the opportunity to take party qualifying away from just that, the actual party. They're waiting for that. And you can keep pushing all day long. Now, Brad Raffensperger, we can get into I don't want to get in the weeds as an argument, but he did qualify as a Republican. He wrote his check, right there it is on the table, to the Georgia Republican Party. They were happy to take it. Now, I'm going to tell you like this. Every one of you that keep hearing Alex Johnson in tears and Nathaniel Darnell in tears, and they're in absolute tears, and everybody's upset. Hey, look, I get it. I was actually a state officer. Alex Johnson and Nathaniel Darnell and these people, they keep getting all teared up. Do you see Sally Grubbs, the first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party, standing up and stating we should not allow him? Maybe she did. You see the second vice chair? You see the chairman? No. As a state officer, I publicly, right here from this desk, called for the Georgia Republican Party to disqualify him from being able to qualify on the ballot. I did. But let me tell you something. The Georgia Republican Party does not have the money to fight this in court. They don't. So every time you hear them crying, now here is Burt Jones. Right there, he's qualifying to run for governor. Now we have some polling out. And here's our polling. If Democrat primary election for governor were held today, who would you vote for? This is the Emerson College poll, I think it is. Keisha Lance Bottoms right now is up to 35%, 34.8. Jeff Duncan is running second. Okay, George Hamilton is running second. Jason Fernando is his name. Fernando Estevez is 3.7%. So let's look at the polling that came out from, it's the Emerson College poll. Georgia 2026, the Senate race, Ossoff, Buddy Carter, 47-44. Now this is a statistical tie. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3. So Carter, Collins, and Dooley, statistically, according to this poll, are in a tie, but all three seem to be behind right now. A lot of people not paying attention yet to Jon Ossoff. And right here, let me just show you this, right? You have a 44, 43, 41. Buddy Carter is the top spot, even though statistically it's tied. Buddy Carter is in this race. Now, I know when we switch over here, you're going to see this on the Republican side. According to this poll, Mike Collins runs away from it with it. At 30%, Buddy Carter's at 16, Dooley's at 10. All right? Now, Collins appears to be the front runner. But if there's a runoff between Buddy Carter and Mike Collins, I'm telling you right now, the whisper, folks, you got to always understand, I look at this and I study the politics of it. The whisper of this is Mike Collins can't win the general. And there's a lot of talk of who's suited to go up against Jon Ossoff. And actually, in those round circles, it's not always Derek Dooley, it's actually Buddy Carter. So I'm not saying Mike Collins can't win, but it's a whisper out there that they're nervous. People are nervous about it. Internal numbers. So let's go to this same polling with the governor. And we have here the 2026 poll for the Georgia Republican governor. Burt Jones leads right here. Burt Jones 21, Rick Jackson 20. Now, this has a plus or minus of 4.6%. So we've got a statistical tie at the top. This is tied. Now, this is the Emerson College poll. Tied Burt Jones, Rick Jackson. I think the Jackson campaign, with the amount of money they spent and the damage they have done, I think there's something to be said that they're tied with Burt Jones, who has President Trump's endorsement, who has the name recognition, that Rick Jackson actually has had to spend the money just to get the name recognition. When you go into politics, the very first thing you have to do is buy name recognition. You can buy name recognition, or you can run once or twice and gain and build up that name recognition. But right now, Rick Jackson has purchased, obviously, name recognition, and there's a statistical tie. But every poll out there leaves Raffensperger around 11%, does it not? I still say Raffensperger has a lane. Keep an eye on that. So this says right here that front runner spot is up for grabs, statistically a tie. Now here's the other part. This poll came out yesterday that said, hey, if Burt Jones is the nominee and runs against Keisha Lance Bottoms, Keisha Lance Bottoms would beat Burt Jones. Now, these are just polls. We do not hang our hat on them. We do not say they're accurate and true, and this is the way it is. But a lot of concern out there, a lot of whisper, all right, that Burt Jones can't win the general. Now, you will see that as the campaigns get closer to the primary, there'll be a lot of money spent on who can win the general. And I have to tell you, you're going to see Republicans go to the polls. I will still, at my age, call it pull the lever. You know, I will say pull the lever. So for you Chiltons out there that don't understand that, I still think a lot of Republicans will go to the polls in the primary and pull the lever based on who they think can win in November. I really do. I think that's going to happen. There's more talk right now since the day I came to Georgia in 1999 that a Democrat could regain the governor's mansion. I always like to put the bad memory up that Stacey Abrams, 50,000 votes, 2018? Is that 2018, right? 50,000 votes separated her and Brian Kemp. So, Rick Jackson, number 22. We don't have time today. We'll go into it tomorrow. There is been a lot of discussion on how much money apparently Rick Jackson promises to unwind his company state contracts if elected. So this is obviously starting to hit home a little bit against the Rick Jackson campaign because a billionaire healthcare executive competing to be the Republican Party nominee for Georgia governor says his company helped keep the state afloat and agreed to provide nurses and for Georgia hospitals during COVID. Since that no big contract was signed in 2020, subsidiaries of Jackson's Alpharetta-based company, Jackson Healthcare, has received more than $1 billion in payments by state agencies. But Jackson says if he's elected, those business dealings will all stop. So this is actually hitting home a little bit on the Jackson campaign. This is starting to resonate a little bit. Like, okay, Bert, you got the data centers over here. This is resonating. I think the AJC wants to keep I think personally the AJC wants to keep the race close, obviously. And I think this will be something that the Jackson campaign will, not that they're not answering it now, but somehow they'll have to put this to rest. That $1 billion received. So the AJC is keeping it stirred, but the Jackson campaign is coming right back at Burt Jones, Team Jackson. A few days ago, Burt Jones went on a radio and bragged about the $400 million for the new state mental hospital. Okay, but there's a catch. 3 years ago, Burt held up mental health legislation to create leverage for his development on his family's land. Now, we have gone through that. This is BS. Burt's BS. This is Team Jackson. Burt flip-flops on mental health. All right. We have to put some research into this. This at face value is accurate with the certificate of need and how it got passed. And remember, if you go back in our Substack, you will see, I think it was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we did a full segment. We laid everything out concerning the hospital that's like 3 miles down the road from, and I forget the name of the organization, the hospital, the affiliation, but it's just 3 miles down the road in Butts County from where they want to build a new hospital that is now, they can do that based on the new certificate of need. Burt Jones's campaign, I still keep going back to that, hoping I can get the video to play. Burt Jones's campaign is hitting back. Burt Jones, Rick Jackson made his fortune recruiting for Planned Parenthood, helping doctors perform transgender procedures on minors, and pocketed over $1 billion in state contracts on the backs of Georgia taxpayers. Now he wants the governor's office to keep a gravy train going. Georgia's not for sale. So Burt Jones's campaign's hitting back a little bit, all right, and helping doctors perform transgender procedures on minors. Remember, it was just last week that a transgender reverend prayed over the Georgia State Senate and gave the opening devotional with pictures with Burt Jones. So this thing is getting wound up. It continues to get, it's getting wound up. Now, here are the qualifiers, because as I'm coming on the air and producing this video, Rick Jackson has not qualified yet. So you have Brad Raffensperger, Burt Jones, Chris Carr, and Clark Dean have qualified to run for governor of Georgia on the Republican ticket. So tomorrow or Saturday, Rick Jackson will be at Appalachian Gun and Pawn. Now, 2 weeks ago, I went to Appalachian Gun and Pawn. Burt Jones was there. Burt Jones came up. This is in Pickens County, Jasper, Georgia, right up out of Canton, out of Cherokee County. Just travel north. On the left-hand side, you'll see the big LED screen out on the highway, Appalachian Gun and Pawn. It's become a real political magnet that everyone comes up out of Atlanta and stops there. Great gun shop, gun shooting, whatever. Let's see here. And so 2 weeks ago, Burt Jones was there. I went there Saturday. Rick Jackson's going to be there. We'll see what the turnout's going to be. That's going to be interesting. And I just want to close our governor segment here with Jason Estevez. He's only at 3.7 in that poll, but he's a young guy. He's a young guy, and I'm just telling you right now, if he gets on the ballot, he is way behind George Hamilton, a.k.a. Jeff Duncan, and Keisha Lance Bottoms. But if he gets on the ballot, just saying. All right, here's Batman and Robin. Now we're up to crossover tomorrow night at midnight. That's there we go. Hey guys, Robin here with my good friend Batman. That's a dynamic duo. There's Robin and Batman, Burt Jones, and the Boy Wonder. And I'm searching for words. Yeah, I'm searching for words. Because I'm very, very angry. You know, someone told me the other day, this is what actually, someone actually said this, you got to get off your Dolezal high horse. Okay. All right. Yes, okay. That's what I was told. And I don't care very much for Greg. And, you know, he's got a wife, he's got children, he took the picture of the family, he went down, they all do it on the qualifying. He's got his wife. I didn't put the picture up, but if you go look, and never, we don't attack families. We're not attacking any families. But his wife is blonde. Little girl's blonde, all right. Good looking family. But he has played more political stunts. And I've been in politics for years, and I don't like the boogeyman, all right? Can't stand when we go into campaigns and we create a political boogeyman. Now, if I have to come on every single day and explain myself where Brad Raffensperger is concerned, you do realize Nathaniel Darnell, hold on just a minute. Hold on. I'm having an Erica Kirk moment every time I think about how sad it is that Nathaniel Darnell lost his inheritance. I know as much, if not more, about being attacked, being politically gone after by Brad Raffensperger. And you know that. You know that. You know what they have come after me. Right? So, the political boogeyman of Brad Raffensperger and all these political stunts, I'm very angry with this guy, and I'm trying to, this is, so, an ad, he runs this ad, and he puts this out. So, if you make comments, people will suddenly say, well, are you in support of this? Are you not concerned about this? Yes, I'm concerned. Yes, I'm concerned. And I sit here today, and I don't get religious on the show. I do not. I sit here today. I am an ordained deacon. I know I say some bad words. And I sit here today, and I can look at you and say that thank the good Lord, that I know the good Lord, at a time when I needed to know the good Lord, that I've not always been the citizen you see before you today. I know that, okay? But as an ordained deacon and someone that has served on a lot of boards in very large churches, a couple of very large churches, I have studied several different religions from around the world. And I'm not well versed, so we're not getting into the theology of different religions. But the disgusting ad that this guy went through, this is dull as all. London has fallen. Europe is under siege. In America, the invaders who would rather pillage or I can't get those syllables, then assimilate. I can get assimilate. Are roaming Minnesota, New York, and LA. As Lieutenant Governor, I will fight the enemy before they're in the gates and keep Georgia safe and Sharia free. Now, there is I think she's going to be up for Grifter of the Year. I mean, it was tough competition, but I think this Holly Kistler will probably win Grifter of the Year. So they create the boogeyman. And let me just say this. You were lied to. You were lied to. And then there were the days you didn't pay any attention whatsoever. And then we come from we're not the information age, you and I, whether you like it or not. Now, what does that mean? All right? Now, you were lied to if you went to the school in the 1970s, right? We were taught in the 70s that America is the great melting pot. Right? That's what we were taught all through grade school. We are the great melting pot of the world. Well, that wasn't really accurate. We had people from all over the world wanting to come to America, right? Because of what we have, our freedom, who we are, and the opportunities in the great country, and the list goes on. But you and I were told every day we were the great melting pot. That's not correct. At a time in the 70s, when we went into the 80s and 90s, and as things changed, right? We had our opportunities then as a country. We had our opportunities then as our government, our leaders, Democrat or Republican, to make sure that when people came into this country, no matter how they came into this country, that they understood they were here to assimilate. Period. We won't take all day on it. You're here to, but we didn't. We didn't. We went through the 80s and 90s. We have pockets of refugees. They've come in through years. We made deals with the Middle Eastern countries that we would educate their children. They came in. We said we're going to take the best and the brightest around the world. We made deals so we could bring people in from India to run our convenience stores and our once at that time Ramada Inns. I know I'm getting in a lot of trouble, right? Blah, blah, blah. But it's true, all right? And up front for years, we never did anything to put any checks and balances in place. We never did anything to make sure they assimilate. Nothing. We didn't. All right? Now, when it comes to Muslims, and it comes from all the countries all around the world, we brought them in here as fast as we could. They came through, they set up in Minnesota, the refugees from Somalia. That's been in years. Obama, whatever, it happened. And in Donald Trump's first term, we did not take any of that on. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, we didn't take any on. Right? Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House, we didn't take it on. Now, you and I, We remember the first fax machine. We can still hear the sound of it going off knowing there's a fax, right? We remember the pagers. We had pagers. We remember that, getting a digital page. It would buzz. At first, it would just buzz. We didn't know what the hell was buzzing. We just call. Then it had, numbers come through. Then we got a cell phone. The list goes on. We remember, you got mail. We remember what it sounds like on dial-up. We got our first computer. Your children, and my children actually, are in the information age. We got our encyclopedias one book at a time from the grocery store. Come on, you don't remember? Mom went shopping that day. At the end of aisle 12 was, tennis shoes hanging up because you wore the other ones out, scuffing them on the ground, trying to slow your bicycle down. So at the end of aisle 12, your mom was buying you shoes at the A&P, and then at the cashier, the volume C was out, Encyclopedia Britannica. And that's how you got to, 1 week at a time, you got a set of encyclopedias or somebody knocked on the door. Then you went into the room and you got the encyclopedia out to do your homework. I mean, the list goes on. We had nothing other than a radio station. We had nothing other than nightly news, the Mockingbird media. We had Sunday morning. We had some newspapers. We did not have information that kids have today. You can go blame us all day long. You'll never convince me that if our generation or our parents' generation had the same access to information that you have today, that the world would be in the shape it's in today. Now, moving right along with that, all these things progressed. And you cannot have selective acceptance. You can't do it. And you can't hate everybody. Somehow, some way, it all got turned in. We got to hate everybody. I didn't bring the Muslims to this country. I did not bring a Quran in this country. I did not tell Keith Ellison he could be sworn in Congress on the Quran. All the above. We can go on and on. But now, these American citizens that practice different religions than we do, you and I maybe, see the world different than us, are under our constitutional rights to their freedom. Now, I'm not here today by any means whatsoever to advocate for Sharia, advocate for, I think it's like, I lose my mind when I see someone, a Muslim over here, knowing that their religion will not, support a gay person over here or a woman's rights over here. But that's where we're at. That is exactly where we're at. Okay? Now, I know Dearborn, Michigan. I may know Dearborn, Michigan better than you. I've told you the story more than once. My uncle from the mountains of North Carolina, my aunt from the mountains of North Carolina back in the 50s, right? Come back home. They come home from the war. They go to Michigan and the great auto industry up there. Uncle builds a house right on Henry Ford Expressway coming out of Detroit. If you don't know Henry Ford Expressway coming out of Detroit in Dearborn, Michigan, I do. I know it very well, and I know the house sits right there on Dearborn, Michigan. And when I used to go visit my cousins all the time, I would say, how can you guys sleep at night with that freeway out there? But that's where they grew up. That's where they were raised their whole life. And that used to be one of the top middle-class neighborhoods in the United States outside of Detroit, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan, that I'm aware of today has more there's more Muslims in Dearborn than anywhere or one city in the United States that I'm aware of, right? And guess what happened? They ran for city council. right? I mean, things are taking place. But you know what? When President Donald Trump ran for office, you cannot have selective acceptance. Where did he go? Go look it up on the internet. He went to right outside of Dearborn somewhere, right, and campaigned. He met with an entire group of Muslim leaders up there, right? Go look it up. Now, this angered me so bad, and I had a viewer send me an email. This is Greg Dolezal, desperation. I'm going to tell you now. Look me in the eye. Look at me in the eye. Let's focus. Let's stay focused. No matter what you say, no matter if you think I'm in favor of another candidate for lieutenant governor, Greg Dolezal cannot, should not, ever be lieutenant governor or governor of the state of Georgia. If you think this is okay, I need to know from you. I need to know from you if this is okay. Watch this very close. You ready? Are you okay with that? I want to know, are you okay with that? Are you okay with creating that boogeyman? Are you okay with that? I'm not. I'm not. I'm not okay with that. Now, I say this all the time. If we will stop predetermining that we don't like the person in aisle 5 at Home Depot when we get there, that troubles me, because I can't stand political. If you want to make sure that you protect our Constitution, and if you want to make sure that that never takes place in America, one, let me just say this. To go on there and to put to identify someone in black with a black turban, whatever it's called, and to tell a blonde white woman they can't drive. Actually, I really think Greg Dolezal should get out of the race now. I really do. I'm going to get heat. I mean, people are going to think, well, I'm advocating for something, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. I actually think today that Greg Dolezal should get out of the race. Don't forget, this is his good friend over here, Ron Pitts. He's done every clown show he could do. Every clown show he could do, and that's the chairman. That's the chairman of the Fulton County Board of Commission, Ron Pitts, that happens to be Greg's good friend. Now, I want to wrap up today with this right here, and give me just a minute. Don't go anywhere, folks. Give me just a minute. I want to see if I can get something here that I want to find. It'll just take me 1 second, if you don't mind. I think I can find it here. But before we wrap up today, I do want to talk about Brad Raffensperger qualifying, and I want to remind people of a couple things here. Let's see, I have it here. Just a couple. I want to talk about Brad qualifying. I know I have this. All right. All right, maybe I don't have it. Oh, I'm so irritated over this. I wanted to find something to show you, and it shouldn't take me long. But give it one more shot here. All right. Don't have it. So anyhow, I want to go into Brad Raffensperger qualifying. I'm sorry about the delay there. Now, the GRA, the Georgia Republican Assembly, I have said over and over, okay, I've said over and over what I call the rank and file. There's some amazing people out there. You really are. And I've asked you over and over to clean out the top level, all right? Clean out the top level, reset your organization with your values. So the Georgia Republican Party elected leadership decided to disregard, disrespect, and betray Georgia Republican voters yesterday by qualifying Brad Raffensperger as a Republican governor despite the resolution at the convention. Now, I just want to show you something, because everything I say is directed at the top. And what they're going to continue to tell you is they did not realize the Frost family was running a Ponzi scheme, or Brant Frost IV, First Liberty Building and Loan, was not running a Ponzi scheme, and they didn't realize they were being duped by the Frost family. And I want to show you some things, because this goes back to David Schaefer as chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. He was a member of the GRA, okay? And David Schaefer, former chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, an investor in First Liberty Building and Loan. David Schaefer, former chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, who Brant Frost was his second vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party. So they can't run away from this as though it's uh-oh. And the thing that they keep wanting to sell you out there, folks, is they didn't realize that this gravy train was too good to be true. They didn't realize that. So they're upset, and here's the reality. They're upset that Brad Raffensperger is running for governor if the Frost family was not being investigated, right? If Nathaniel Darnell was not being investigated, I'm going to say they would not be crying like this over Raffensperger running for governor. And I'm going to tell you this over and over. No matter how you feel, read the details in both the Secretary of State's investigation into Brant Frost V and their referral to Coweta County DA for possible prosecution, and then read the report on Nathaniel Darnell. It's very thorough. Raffensperger's not a boogeyman here. Raffensperger may have, now I say may have, allegedly We got to throw allegedly. He may have allegedly participated in stealing the election in 2020 according to evidence. We call it evidence, okay? We'll just say that. At the risk it may be to get me in trouble. But Raffensperger did not participate in stealing these people's life savings. That's just the bottom line. But they are so angry. Now, they are more interested in preserving and saving their organization. So, dear Brian, according to Secretary of State's website, the Georgia Republican Party elected leadership decided to disregard, disrespect, and betray the Georgia Republican voters yesterday by qualifying Brad Raffensperger. Now, the delegates, and they're going to tell you, well, wait a minute, the rules were followed, so we won't go down that road. There is a little apples and oranges, but the delegates at the 2023 convention said they wanted me to be the first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party, but then when GRA member, right, Josh McCoon, and GRA member Brant Frost and others wanted me out of the way, right? Denise Burns, many others, the list goes on, out of the way, then the delegates be damned. Be damned, the delegates. They voted me in. There is a rule for removal. But you got to remember, it's the GRA leadership, right? Brant Frost was leadership at that time that helped usher in my removal. Now, there's no axe to grind, promise. So, here is, now what you will not read, tell them to go after Josh McCoon. Tell Alex Johnson, hey, Alex, go sue the Georgia Republican Party. Sue them. Now, when you see this, right, Ponzi scheme investigation, prominent Georgia Republican, he's fined $500,000 and possible charges. I do not know this industry and how it works, but these people that work for Bankers Life and these other, Charles Schwab, whatever they may be out there, these investment bankers and brokers and whatever they are, money handlers, they sign a lot of paperwork acknowledging they know the rules. And I've told you this before. Every time I hear Nathaniel Darnell lost his inheritance because Nathaniel Darnell took and convinced his mom and dad to put their money in. So I don't know how much of his mom and dad's money, I don't know this, that went to the Frost that he got maybe a commission off of. I don't know that. But he knew he was breaking the rules every single time. And he knew he was risking his job as a man, as the head of the household, as the father, however biblically he wants to see it. He let his wife and children down every single time he broke the rules and risked losing everything. He knew that. He is responsible, not Brad Raffensperger. Okay? This is not the 2020 election. Now, right here, I'm absolutely tired of it, okay? I got fence setters that keep going out there. Well, I really don't know what to think here. Brad's a bad guy. Okay? There's Nathaniel, there's Brant, and there's the father. Here we go. Here is Alex Johnson, Nathaniel Darnell. Clean them out. Because here's what I want to remind you people. When I say you people, I know that didn't sound, I know you're going to get upset with me. I cannot stop saying there's a lot of people out there in the GRA. I don't know what's going on, folks. But let me say this. Where's it at? On Monday morning, June 9th, 2025. Monday morning, June 9th, 2025. The convention is over. The Georgia State Republican Party convention is over. Let me go back here and show you something. You see Alex Johnson right there? You see Nathaniel Darnell right there? What did they do? What did they do? That's your leadership. They were at that convention. All right? So on that Monday morning, 6/9/2025, I received an email from Alex Johnson. Dear Brian, first, some great news. I've been going to Georgia GOP conventions for 16 years. So first of all, Alex admits to me, I've gone to conventions for 16 years. Okay, Alex? And so this one is okay? What was different about this one after 16 years? And in my opinion, this one had the best outcome yet for Georgians! Exclamation point! Now, if you're sitting out there and you're wearing your GRA badge and you're attacking me and you think I'm trying to bring your organization down and I'm attacking your organization, get your damn head out of your ass and get rid of your damn leadership and wake the hell up. Do not participate in trying to preserve the mess that they created. Because if you were at that convention, right, and you got this email and your leader said, hey, in my opinion, this one has the best outcome yet for Georgians, exclamation point. Well, Alex, you've been going for 16 years. Nathaniel, did you and Alex go and say, whoa, no, this is wrong. Stop. Get away from the microphones. Tim, whatever your name was, the big guy. I forget his name, GRA member that blocked me personally from a microphone. The other guy from Coweta County, GRA, that's running for commissioner, what's his name? Blocking microphones. GRA guy standing up there as chairman, Josh McCoon. GRA woman, Katie Frost. Brant Frost, GRA. Nathaniel and Alex. Why didn't you say, stop, this is wrong? You know, they want to get on there and they want to cry and tell you. They want to cry and absolutely tell you with tears, you know, that they didn't know the Frost family where they were running or the First Liberty Building and Loan was a Ponzi scheme. They're actually, absolutely, it's the saddest thing. We didn't know. We didn't want any investor hurt. They are running with this right now, telling you that Brad Raffensperger and the Georgia leadership would not do nothing about stopping Brad from qualifying yesterday, and that the delegates had their say, and they were obstructing the delegates' will at this convention. There was no care whatsoever for a delegate in that hall that day that was obstructed from participating in that convention that was so corrupt And a good portion of the corruption had a GRA member somewhere infiltrated to help get Josh McCoon reelected. That wasn't First Liberty Building and Loan. Not only did the grassroots anti-establishment Georgia Republican Assembly win overwhelmingly, but it also put the Georgia GOP on course for renewed relevance. So is that how you say that? Is how you? I'm too worked up. You see, I received that email from Alex that Monday morning of how great everything was. It went according to plan. And you see, they're okay. They were okay. The GRA, they were okay with Alex and Nathaniel. Okay, they never stood up. They drank their Kool-Aid. All right. I went to their dog and pony show for an endorsement when I was running for first vice chair. So I get up there, and here's what they don't tell you, because I'm not a member. They don't tell you that they're allowing votes online. So they have members online voting that are not in the room statewide. And what they also don't tell you is your opponent is a GRA member, so the online members get to see their speech, because we all got to get up and give a 3-minute speech. But they blocked out non-member speeches to their online members that were going to vote. They don't tell you that. So I ran against a member, Marcy McCarthy. In the room, the vote in the room, I won the in the room vote twice. But I did not win the online vote. Unknowns to me, they were not broadcasting our speeches to the online voters. And the online voters were set up to vote for just GRA members. You see, Nathaniel knew that, and Alex knew that, and the Frost family sitting on the front row, and Brant Frost knew that, right? As long as they were okay and they were participating in it, they drew a blind eye, knowing what was going on. And then I also watched outside as they took one or two of their GRA members out and took a picture with them with the winning banner before they ever came up for their endorsement speeches, because they would have to leave early and they knew somehow they would win. Yes, and see, the people out there know it happens. Then I went to the next dog and pony show that I was not participating in. David Cross was for chairman and Josh McCoon for chairman, right? And guess what? The Frost family was at one of those, I guess, Kenny Bunkport, Maine, on investors' dime vacations, my understanding. So at the next one, they knew they needed proxies. So I think, what I understand, the Frost family gathered up all these proxies. I mean, there was a whole stack of them, of members that were not present. And fortunately, when they started, one of the true Patriot GRA members that was in the room, and they are out there, came to a microphone and made a motion not to accept the proxies. Because this one individual, and I remember who it was very well, knew that those proxies were set up so that Josh McCoon would get his endorsement and Sally would get her endorsement and so on down the line. But this member got to the microphone and made a motion to not accept them. There was a second and there was a vote, and they had to do away with the proxies. So Josh lost the endorsement that day. You see, as long as they're out there and they're part of it, because this right here is despicable to me. This is totally despicable. Brad Raffensperger, I'm sorry. You can dislike me forever. If you're upset he qualified to run for governor, you know what? He wouldn't be running for governor if Pam Bondi would have indicted him. He wouldn't be running for governor if our DOJ would go in and clean out the Secretary of State's office, get all the boxes out of there and do an investigation. I don't know. Allegedly, there's crimes. Allegedly, right? He wouldn't be running for governor. He's running for governor on the Republican ticket, and he's not your boogeyman, GRA. Nathaniel Darnell and Alex Johnson. Because I have to tell you right now, I've said it over and over. If we have people go to their dog and pony show, I'm just telling you, if people go to their dog and pony show and they, if people go to their dog and pony show, candidates, and they actually want to come out as GRA endorsed, wow, that will be interesting. We're going to stay with interesting. Hold on just a minute. I want to see if I can find something. I got to be able to find this. Hang tight. Hang tight. Don't go nowhere on me right now. Please don't go anywhere on me. I'm looking for something. Oh, I know why I don't have it. Okay. So, as I close here, tomorrow night, crossover. We have a lot to watch for. I will be doing a Saturday and Sunday program on my Substack. I'm watching for this right now on the data centers. Remember, I'm watching for SB 34, see what takes place there. All right. And I'm always wondering what Vicky Consiglio is whispering to Burt Jones. So, you can find my Substack. Let me get this off the screen. Right here. Vora, Substack Vora, V-O-R-A, at BKP Politics. And remember, Democrats have gone from progressives to socialists, and now they want to claim to be centrist. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you think about things. Tell me how you see things. Someone actually called me yesterday and said, this is true. And that doesn't upset me. I get it. They said, is that the real Donald Trump? They said that. Is that the real Donald Trump? Is it? Because I'm a little taken back. Just saying. So I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Let me see what I have here as we go out the door. Get this for you. And until next time.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.